Hey guys, it's Ash and P.
Hey, we're here
Yes,
for
we
our
are
first
trying.
ever Riverside.
That's what it's called. It's very confusing. I wasn't aware of this,
I
but
know.
this is the video version
Video podcasting
of our podcast.
We're trying to be more hip with it.
Because when we did start, I had friends that were like, "Oh, where can I watch it?" And I was like, "Oh, nowhere.
We're not viewable.
Nowhere.
We're
You can
listenable.
listen."
We
We also
I know,
just
and
ate some steak, and I feel like I have some of
I
my
know.
teeth.
Actually,
Sorry,
our
guys.
husbands did an amazing job.
They
It
did.
was really good.
Very good.
It's about time they had some good meat. But what I was going to say is I have really been slacking on our social. Work has been like,
You're an animal,
me.
so
it drains me.
But okay, so I know you haven't really been posting on social media, but I am not very good at that at all. So I just stay in my lane because I can't do the stuff that you do.
No, I need to.
I can't I can't create a Canva. I try to do
That's easy. That's not even anything.
That's easy. That's easy for you. For me, it's not. It takes me like 9 years, and then I partially create it. It's a draft, and then it never goes anywhere because I don't know what the heck it is.
I need to get better. I'm sorry. So sorry for our listenership, now viewership.
Woo!
We have to get better at this. Otherwise, we're going to tank.
But we really do appreciate all of you.
Oh, for sure. Every single one. Sometimes I don't know how anyone wants to listen to us. And then sometimes I feel like I'm like, everybody needs to listen to us. Because I feel like this is like for the mass volume community, what we're saying.
I understand.
And not like because we're being like, we're saying something that's so like
great,
life-changing.
No.
Or I told you it's some secret, some get rich.
Yeah,
secret.
we're going to save the world.
No.
It's just because so many people are in a position that we are, and they don't. Sorry for the video. I have to say, I don't know if they can see it, but so many people are in the position that we are, and we all feel alone. Yes. Right? I know I can come to you, and we have girlfriends that luckily have gone through stuff similar or have kids the same age.
We also have girlfriends, though, that are on completely different levels.
Which I do love.
I love it, too, because it is not like we're just self-absorbed with all of the same.
Right.
It could be heavy. And when you have a lot of the same, it's like, it's also
very heavy. But then they send a cute picture of their babies, and you're like,
oh, you're going through such a cute thing. I love that. I love the babies. It's so much happiness.
Oh,
there's so much love there.
And baby stage is hard.
Baby stage is hard.
They require so much energy from you.
I know.
A different energy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it's
the physical aspect.
Yeah. And we have a girlfriend who has a younger one. He's 1. And it's her 3rd. So it's not like it's anything new, but it is still going through all of those baby stages. Yes, and then we have our girlfriend who has her very first one.
And it's like, when you first have your baby, and it's like,
you get all those special moments.
And I feel like, and this is what I love about it, when she's telling us things that she's going through on her day-to-day, I love it because I can put myself back to those moments.
Yes.
And you forget because you get time has gone on. And even for me with Danny, it's only been 2.5, 3 years.
But
and
so much happens in that time.
That I'm like,
yes.
Oh, I forget. You're not, that's also
yes.
new. And
so we get to kind of relive that.
You start to see the babies put on the weight and how much that, you're like, oh my God, my baby's going to be a ginormous little sumo baby because they just start putting on the weight.
Yeah. And they're
growing out of they're growing out of their clothes.
Yes.
And you start to see their growth, and you move them from all the transitional stages, right?
Yes.
Like our other friend who moved from the infant car seat to the transitional convertible car seat, and you're like, oh my God, it is a big moment as a mommy. That's a big moment.
And you know what's crazy is, so I have to watch all of these things from the outside, right? Because I am so far removed, and I'm like, oh, like, I remember that stuff and I love it. And I cherish those videos or photos or whatever, because I don't get to do that anymore.
I know.
And you do still have some little ones. Maybe they're slightly older, but you do still have little ones, and you get to go through those. Like, I don't get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But you do.
Can I tell you something? It was interesting because I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, so like, I love the baby snuggles and those times. And
well, I get lost in them.
As a mom, when you're nursing and the babies are like on you, or even when you're bottle feeding and they're holding your fingers, or like all those moments of like the touchy feely, like the snuggles, the whatever. You don't miss the not sleeping.
No, the not sleeping is no fun.
But you miss the snuggles.
But
you miss
how much stuff they want
before you go back to work, when you're like completely consumed with just baby love, right? Because then you go back to work and then you get like the shuffle of everything, and you're like trying to balance everything, which is a huge adjustment for everyone in the house. And it takes a while sometimes,
it does,
to find that groove. And so that's difficult. But those are hard moments. But I have to tell you right now, Danny, and maybe it's because Danny's finally sleeping.
Easier. Yeah.
God, she has not slept for 2.5 years. She's finally sleeping.
See,
even though like she gets up like when I'm leaving for the gym, it's like she's at least sleeping for the mass part of her evening in her bed, and that makes me happy.
Funny is that for you, so Danny and Gigi were
so opposite.
I don't know how to say this, but kind of handled differently.
Yeah,
like Gigi, it was very strict, very routine, very like in her bed, in like all of that, right? Like she didn't sleep with you, none of that. And then Danny, it was different. She slept with you. And as
you're so exhausted. You're so exhausted.
Absolutely.
I mean, the girls are 18 months apart, so you're like, I just need to sleep.
I didn't even have that
However, it is, I just need to sleep.
Yes.
And Danny was a difficult baby.
She was, it's funny because Gigi is.
She is cute as shit.
She is. So God does that.
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
He makes sure there's a way for you to be able to really chug along.
Yeah.
But what I think is so crazy is that, so for you try to still get Danny in her bed and all of that, which at some point I did, but I feel like I had the boys in my bed about, I don't know, right after a year. Jackson had like respiratory issues. He was in the hospital. So like stuff like that kind of jacked us up because I was scared to put him in his crib. Like I wanted to make sure he was breathing, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But once I got him back into his crib and that kind of thing, he did pretty good, but he's a pretty easygoing baby. Mm-hmm. However, I do think, and people may or may not agree with this, it's so much easier to just let the kid in your bed. I know. A lot of people are like, no, don't do it. And it really does cause a horrible habit because, now Danny comes in partway through the night. She does. But if and I don't know, because she's a crazy sleeper. We'll see how she does I wonder what she'll do when it's me and Jace.
You know what's crazy too is she's so mean when Gigi gets up to come into our bed, which is usually like when it's really time to wake up, for the most part. So it's like 6 already. And she comes in, and if it's a morning that we are both still in bed, which is rare,
like maybe,
but if it happens, and we're both still in bed, and she comes and I try to snuggle with her, right? Because I've pretty much been snuggling with Danny for a few hours, and so I'll snuggle with her.
Danny's very jealous.
Danny's like,
you're in my territory,
and I'm like, and then she's and she starts crying, and she starts throwing a fit, and she starts kicking, and I'm like, seriously, it's 6 in the fucking morning, and I cannot with these kids right now. And it literally will start. Judy starts crying. She's upset because her sister's kicking her, and Danny won't stop, and I'm just like,
it's funny. Well, can you guys not put them on the outsides? Like, say Tony grabs Danny, and you grab Gigi, and they're on the outsides. Does that work?
So both girls come to me. They come to my side of the bed.
Because you're the snuggler. And that's what happens with moms.
But they come to my side of the bed. They get in on my side. They want to be on me.
You are close to the door.
Yes. And they want to be on me.
You know what's funny? I'm not. I'm further from the door.
Well,
but it's a mom thing.
I don't know. It is a mom
they'll
thing.
Still come
I know.
To you. They'll still come to you.
I know. Because Tony will say, like, come lay with me.
I just threw up. And I'm like,
okay. Is everything okay?
Yeah. Why? Did you make it to the toilet? Okay. Do you want to come in bed and make me sit? Cool. Awesome. Lay down.
Come lay and put your
put all of your spit right in my mouth. Yep. It's awesome. Yeah. And it is because we're the comforters.
Yes, because Tony will try because I recently have had this conversation with him where I'm like, you gotta grab a kid. Like I'm like this. Like the one morning I sleep in, right? Like the one.
Yeah, you never do.
Morning I sleep in. I'm like so uncomfortable. I'm like, all these positions, and they are on me, and the dog will usually be on my legs.
I never had to deal with that.
I love her. So
I know she's very sweet.
But I'm like, you got to grab a kid, and he's like, I try, and he'll say like, come lay with me, Gigi, or come lay with me, Danny, and they're like, I won't.
They don't. Money. You know why? Because they don't hold them the same. Yes. They don't. Which it's really funny because I recently had to do a reset on my phone. So I had to back up all of my photos, right? So
did you see some old photos?
I did.
I love that.
I'll have to have you post them on our Facebook because they're like of Jackson on Jason like this, and then Hayden on Jackson like it's photos of them. So they do snuggle with them, but the way we snuggle our babies.
So what I was going to say is, I really feel like these years are my favorite.
They are. They are hard because they're very tiring. They take.
Oh yeah,
it's a different energy that they take.
They're my favorite because they're so damn cute.
They are. They're so cute and they love you. Like, not that I know our teenagers love us, but it's a hard love. It's a love that we're like, do they just hate me? Do they just hate me?
I think she
loves
me deep inside. Like,
right.
Like if I die, she's it would gonna really hurt her.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly how. Like Hayden's like, Mom, I love you, and I'm like, okay, well, sometimes you just act like you hate me.
Yeah.
Like you act like I'm a piece of shit, that I'm the worst person in the world, and I'm sorry that I feel that way, but that's how you act towards me.
Yeah.
And he's like, Mom, I love you, blah, blah, blah. Like, you shouldn't feel that. And it's like, but do you see, like, I was on the phone with my brother, and I said to Hayden, the way you're looking at me right now, I want to slap you in your face. Get out of here. And my brother goes, oh, was it that look? The look that's like, I don't care about you, and you're just like nothing to me. It's like, yes, that's exactly what it was. That is the look. He looked at me like I was the dumbest person. He didn't care about anything I was saying.
Which, don't you want to be like,
I know stuff!
I want to smack the eyeballs back into place. Because I'm thinking,
like, there's nothing behind there, right? Like, they're looking at you like with dead eyes.
Yes.
And you're like, what is wrong with you?
I see you. I'm fucking talking to you. How dare you look at me like hello, I'm right here.
Yes.
I'm right here. Oh, it drives me crazy.
And also, hey, by the way, I know stuff.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
I know you think I don't, but
kind of have survived, and kind of has survived a lot of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I know you guys have sucky stuff happening, but we went through shit.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have all these, and, like, my boys know what I went through. I've shared that with them.
Yeah.
They know, and Hayden will say stuff sometimes, about, like...
Which, do you wonder, like, how much of that, like, they absorb, like, fully? Maybe your boys, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, did my child really absorb what I told her I went through?
No. So here's what I think is I do think they hear it.
By the way, I'm the only one that's had multiple sips of my drink, and you're acting like
Crystal, fill it. It's like more than halfway empty. Okay. I've taken more than one sip. Okay. But what I think is that our kids it registers in their head, they hear it, but it is one of those things. And I think this is where you and I decided, like, hey, we want to do this. Like, maybe no one wants to listen to us. No one wants to hear us, but there are people that have gone through what we've gone through. Mm-hmm. And we do want them to realize that they're not alone, especially, what I wish that the little Ashley could hear this stuff.
Yeah.
The Ashley that is going to therapy twice a week, getting pulled out of class in first grade, feeling like everyone's looking at her because they must know why she's leaving, mm-hmm. right? I mean, that feeling when you feel like people know this, like feel dirty, right? Yeah. Like you feel dirty. You feel like there's something wrong with you. You are different. You are gross, right?
Yeah.
And you're leaving a couple times a week for therapy, and it happens every week. You and your sister both get up out of class and you go. They call you to the office, and everyone in class must know. Like, I want that little girl to know, you are strong and nobody else matters. They don't. And our kids, they hear it, but they don't get it. And it's the same thing, like, like our husbands, they feel like a hurt for us. Like, I think they do feel a pain where they feel somebody wronged us, right? Mm-hmm. Like the way we would feel for someone. Mm-hmm. But I don't, if it didn't happen to you, you don't know. Like I was never raped, right?
Right.
So I will never know that type of pain.
Yes.
And I will never know the mental struggle that you go through with that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a different type of abuse. Yes. I understand the abuse I went to. I know as a first grader, I sat on a hospital bed and I had to sit like a frog so they could do a rape test on me. Like they did a whole rape kit on me and my sister, and we were in first grade, It's like, I know those types of things, but I don't know the type of hurt that they live with.
Right.
Right? And our kids don't. Our kids know, but they don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's in their head, but it's not in their heart.
Yeah.
And they don't get it. And that's okay. Like, obviously, we don't want them. Right. We don't want them to get
hurt. Yes.
But we do want them to understand, like, we've gone through stuff and we know things.
Yeah, and we're not taking it out of our ass. Like,
no, we've had experiences. There have been things that have gone on, and like, so forgiveness was something that was talked about at church today, right?
Yeah.
And when
I tell you, I was like, I can't. I'm like this. I'm gonna have to choose as hard as possible not to feel that message right now. I know. So it's funny because I felt that message, but then I was also like, I wonder what he's feeling. I was wondering what you were feeling. Okay, so hold on. Backstory. We do not go to the same church. No. We've talked about this many times. Like, we go to different churches, different religions, like all those things. Like, we really do preach, and I say that we preach because I feel like you practice what you preach, and we say it to, like, is even to our friends, like, we are open-minded to all. And,
absolutely.
So Ashley and Jason invited us to go to their church a few weeks ago because they were going to have a special guest speaker, and happened to be a very well-known, famous baseball player who had a great story to tell.
And Tony loves baseball.
Tony loves baseball. He knew who he was. He actually said he was like one of his favorites
when he was younger.
Yeah, when he was a little boy. And so we said that Sunday we reserve it for that church. Like, we're gonna go. They invited us to go.
Which was exciting because you guys
we've never gone.
And we've talked about it before.
We had talked about it. We've never gone to their church. We know nothing about their church, which is almost like a whole other podcast. But I will say, like like most, like I really try to take what I can from church. And so his message was really powerful and it spoke to me in many ways. I did cry. Yes. I cried because there's stuff that I have been battling with that I really do feel like God has put in my heart.
Oh yeah.
And he has
and I thought like when he said it, when he talked about his mom and he said it, I was like,
did you see me?
No, I didn't look at you.
I was trying so hard. I was like this.
I couldn't look at you.
I'm like trying to push every tear possible back into the eyeball. And I'm like,
I couldn't look at you because I thought of you immediately. And I was like, oh.
I'm like, this is exactly what I am telling my girlfriends. Haven't even told my husband yet.
Yeah.
Telling my girlfriends that I feel in my heart that God is speaking to me and he's telling me these things and I need to listen.
And it's then exactly that.
And then I go to another church on a random Sunday.
Right.
And listen to a baseball player talk about this. And I'm like, okay, God, got it.
I hear you.
Got it.
But it was great.
It was great.
It was
great. But that other message about forgiveness.
I wondered how that was with like, you.
Oh, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to.
And sometimes that happens.
You know, I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, that's
but
hard.
You know what? Sometimes we're not ready for that part.
Yeah.
Right? Like we hear it. Like, so this is totally different topic, but I used to hear about praying for Jason's ex-wife. Oh, I would hear it a lot.
Yes.
And for a long time, I wasn't ready for it. I couldn't. It was too hard. That's a hard ask when there's a lot of negative things happening. It wasn't like everything was like cohesive and we were great and I didn't want to pray. It was like a lot of negativity, bad things happening, and it was very hard for me. And then finally I was just like, I've heard it too much and I know I have to do it. And it was a good thing. But for a long time, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And that happens, you know?
Well, God's going to have to speak to me a lot more
about that one.
Because I'm not ready for that chapter. But this was really good. And this was really awesome. And I guess we're going to take a break. Can you do that with video?
We can.
Okay.
But really quickly, I think we have the same amount of time, but really quickly about forgiveness. So I thought multiple things. I thought about you, like what he was specifically saying. I was like, oh gosh, that's Priscilla. Oh, but then I also thought about us forgiving our abusers. And because I've told people before, like, forgiveness has nothing to do with them. Mm-hmm. You do it for you. You really do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I feel like myself, and I do feel like you, but I do want to hear, like, have you forgiven? Like, you've let that go. Forgiveness and remembering, like, you always remember, you never forget, but you do forgive. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that way about him?
No.
If
I'm being really honest.
And that's okay. No, that's okay.
Here's what I feel like. I feel like, because, you know, they talk about like, we're totally off topic.
I know. I'm sorry, you guys. I went way crazy,
but, you know, I feel like when people talk about like their abusers or their past and what they've gone through and the things that they went through and how it affects them every day, I feel like I have worked so hard. I've put it past me.
Yeah.
I have come to the feeling in my heart where I feel like God has really truly helped me with that feeling. Feeling like I do not wish any ill will as far as I no longer want to hurt that person.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I really did.
Oh, yeah.
I really did.
I wanted to send letters to this person's wife.
I really wanted every person, every human
to know exactly who he is.
Because in my heart of hearts, felt like there is absolutely no way this ugly person will never do this again. He will absolutely do this again.
That is who he is.
He is a sick human being, and he has gotten off easy, and there's no way he should be able to walk, breathe, shop at the Walmart I shop at, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with me.
Absolutely.
And I was disgusted and appalled. And I moved past that feeling like everybody needed to know all of these things and whatever, and felt like he'll get his.
Yeah. So I guess that's where it's kind of hard. And that's where...
And I don't know that
It's not forgiveness.
It's not forgiveness. And I don't know when and if we'll ever be ready for that. Because when he was saying that, I was like, I can't say, like,
you forgive him.
I forgive him. But I will say that I no longer hold resentment, because I do truly feel like whatever sick, disgusting thing you did made me the person I am. And I'm okay with the person that I am.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with me. Therefore, whatever happened, done.
Yes.
We're going to lay it to rest.
Yes.
We're going to lay it to rest. But laying it to rest doesn't mean
forgiveness. Yeah. I know. And that's
Isn't
where
that like, that's
it
the
is
hard
hard
part.
Because it is one of those things when you lay it to rest, like it isn't on your heart heavy like it was.
No.
And that's where it's like, when I feel like when you forgive, that's how it is too. Yeah. So that's why it's so weird.
Difficult.
It's a weird one.
He was talking about like years and years later, and he goes and I know we're talking.
Oh, I won't have a conversation with I will never go and say I'm sorry for the feelings I had toward you. I mean, I don't know. I guess if God really spoke to me and said I had to do that, that would be one thing, which is what he talked about.
I think what's going to have to happen is like, I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know how I get to that point. I don't even know. All I know is today in my life, he has no say. He doesn't. No.
And I feel like that's what forgiveness does. So I know you're not forgiving it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've let things go.
I've let it go. I've let it go.
And let it go for you.
I feel like for me, I put it in like, this is no longer in my hands. This is in God's hands. Your life is in God's hands. Whatever happens, it is not on me. It is not on my conscience.
Yeah.
It is truly and ultimately what your plan is supposed to be. Whatever weird that is, what it is. Like I am no longer a part of that.
Right.
And I have removed myself as much as possible.
But thank you for my strength.
Yes. And you know what? Because if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I don't think I would.
I don't think I would. And I know it's gross. And maybe that's like a weird.
But no.
Maybe that's a weird thing.
But don't you think like that's part of like being a survivor, and also being like just like so along with all of the messages that I've been going through,
yes,
and feeling in my heart, I feel like I'm this is gonna sound, everyone's gonna go, oh my God, I was on the Peloton. Right. Ew. Everyone's like, ew, gross, working out.
No, okay, but I'm on the Peloton. Girl. Get it.
I'm on the Peloton, and I'm doing one of my favorite instructors' rides. And she's a very strong, assertive woman.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
She went through some stuff too herself. And so I feel like her message is very powerful.
Yeah,
to me.
Connect a lot.
I connect a lot to her. And she said, she's always like, like, you are strong, you are something, like you're amazing, you're on this, you're doing it. And she's very motivating. But she said, she's like, the moment you realize that pity is poison, is the moment you move forward. And it's like, it's so true. And I feel like for us, both of us, the reason why we connect so much is because we understand that.
Yeah.
Like, self-pity is poison.
Yeah. No,
we don't have time for that. No.
I'm taking the strength
from it. Because if we self-pitied ourselves, we would not be anywhere near what we are today.
No way.
We need to take a break.
I know, a long time ago. Sorry, guys.
We'll be back.